Hi, I'm Valerie, and today I wanted to talk to you about 5 things you should consider before you join a co-op, a homeschooling co-op. If you're not familiar with co-ops, there are many types of co-ops, and if you want to look for one in your area, just do a simple Google search, and you will probably come up with some options. But there's various kinds of co-ops. I've been a member of a co-op that mostly just did field trips and small gatherings. We didn't really have organized classes or teaching, and then I've been a part of a co-op most recently where we take turns. We volunteer to teach a class or two, and other moms also volunteer to teach classes. There are some fees involved, but it's very much mom driven, volunteer driven. The first thing you need to think about before joining a co-op is, can you afford it? And I mean both financially and time. Co-ops take time. Our co-op that we're currently in takes basically a full day of our school week. So we have to work around that schedule with our subjects. I either need to have material that is already for a 4-day week, or I have to take the material that we're using and divide that day across the other 4 days of the week. So it takes planning, it takes work, it takes time. There's a fee to be in the co-op, to a facility fee for our co-op. There are fees for some of the classes. There's a t-shirt I have to buy to wear to co-op, and there's other expenses, lunches and things like that. So be sure you count the financial cost and the time cost. Can you do it? Don't commit to something if you really can't afford it. It's better to just save up or wait. Don't put yourself, homeschooling is stressful enough. Moms carry a big burden anyway, even if their kids are going to school somewhere every day. The responsibilities that mom bears are great. So don't add to it by adding in something that truly is optional, because you can give your kids a wonderful education. You can arrange social activities and opportunities for them. You can find free opportunities in your community probably for different activities. So do that. Try to spend your time doing something that's affordable. If you've decided then to join the co-op, you can afford it, both time and money. Remember that everybody in that group is not going to homeschool like you. They're not going to do church like you. They're not going to be, if it's a religious type co-op, if it's a Christian co-op, that's a very broad umbrella. When I was a member of a co-op before, the first one we were ever a part of in another place that we lived, I offered our church building to the group leader for activities, like if we needed to have a meeting or a party or something. And she looked at me in the eye and said, "We believe it's wrong to eat in the church building." This lady was Church of Christ. I'm a Baptist. I said, "Oh, okay. I just wanted you to know it's our church would be available and it would be free." And it really embarrassed me because I wasn't asking her to come and listen to a sermon or agree with my personal doctrinal positions. It was a building. It was a building to have an activity that was low cost. And so it really hurt my feelings. She could have just said, "Thank you so much for that offer. I'll definitely keep it in mind," and then never asked me to do that. She could have never used that opportunity. It wasn't like I was trying to get her to commit to anything. So you don't have to say stuff. You don't have to, so many people, even Baptist people, have so many different ideas on things. Some people don't believe daughters should wear pants, and some don't believe it's right to go to the movies. Some don't celebrate Christmas. So there's so many things that, in my opinion, it's great for you to have those beliefs, but I don't have to change your mind about it, and you don't need to worry about changing my mind about those things. So if you go to a co-op, please overlook those minor differences. Now, obviously, if somebody is in your group and they believe a false gospel, that's something serious. You should pray about that. You should try to look for opportunities to have a conversation about the gospel with that person. But you don't need to feel compelled to change their opinion on Christmas. Let their family do what they want to do, and hopefully they will have that respect for you and let you do what you feel is right. So please don't sweat the small stuff. That's what I think all of that comes under one big heading. If a family eats at church, it's not a big deal. Really isn't. Now, if it's a big deal to you, that's great. Don't you ever eat in a church. But you don't have to force that on someone else. So please remember that. And also, this also goes under your kids are sinners. I know it's hard as a mom. I have 5 children. It's very hard to see that my kid is actually responsible for something that they have done wrong. They've hurt someone, or they have committed some sin that that is their fault. I cannot blame someone else. It's them. And that's very hard to swallow as a mom, to admit, yeah, my kid's a sinner, my kid's going to sin. And when that happens, I need to discipline the child the best I can, make amends, help them to make amends the best we can, and hope that the people involved will be forgiving because their kids are also sinners. And a lot of parents, as I've had to come to this harsh reality myself as a mom, I've learned not every mom has come to this realization. A lot of moms really think that it's the other child's fault that their kid did wrong. You know, their kid did do something wrong, but it really wasn't their fault. They were coerced, or they were, forced into a situation, or they were framed. The fact is, your kid probably does come up with ideas of evil on their own, and that's why they need parents to train them, to love them, and to teach them the gospel, and why most of all, they need Christ to open their eyes to their need and to save their soul from sin. So remember, your kid is a sinner. Don't be shocked. Just say, oh, I'm sorry, I will take care of that. And if it really isn't their fault, if there is a situation where someone else is at fault, just move forward. Just realize, okay, and maybe avoid those people, or try to look for opportunities to quietly, try not to make a scene, try not to be a troublemaker. Try to turn the other cheek if possible, and if you really need to deal with the situation, step back from it, pray about it, and go to the leaders of the group, or the parents involved at another time, and talk to them privately and compassionately and kindly, and go from there. And hopefully the situation will be resolved. But remember, your kid is a sinner. Also, number 3, prepare to keep your word. If you have decided that you can't afford both in time for your time, if you have decided you can afford to do co-op, please keep your word. Moms are depending on you. Other kids are depending on you. They want you to be there. Obviously, things are going to happen. So when that happens, when your life gets all crazy and you can't be there on time, or you can't make it at all, please let someone in the group know. Go through the proper channels and prepare someone else to take over your class so that those students have someone there. Keep your word. It means so much to do that. This is number 4. Teach your children to respect other teachers. As a homeschooling mom, it's a very laid-back, comfortable environment. I think that all of us are used to having and sharing with our children. That's one reason many of us homeschool, is so we can have that flexibility. The problem is kids don't learn respect. They don't learn that when a teacher has prepared a lesson, has spent time, hours, money to make a class possible, we need to teach our children to respect that investment and to listen. If they have a question, teach them to raise their hand before speaking. Teach them not to bother the people around them, or to talk to the people around them if the teacher's talking. This is also disrespectful, and it's something that if they went to school, they would have learned, or at least experienced. They may not, I got in trouble for talking a lot in school, so, it's not, I'm not saying if they went to school they wouldn't do these things, but they would be used to the rules. They would know what's expected. So please prepare your kids to be respectful. You might even want to teach your little ones how to line up. I know that sounds funny, but unless you're in a large church group or another group of a lot of kids where they're going from one place to another, a lot of little kids don't know what it means to line up. And so take a piece of masking tape at home and have them say, everybody line up on the line, and teach them how to line up facing one direction and then the other direction. And that way they understand what is expected if a teacher says that. That's something else that homeschooling parents don't often think about because, again, we don't have need to do those things. So just a little tip there. But most of all, prepare them to listen and care about the teacher. Also, lastly, number 5, remember your kids are not the center of the universe. One good reason for a co-op is so that your kids learn to socialize, so they learn to get along, they learn to share. If, as I mentioned earlier, you are in a situation where your child is accused of wrongdoing, try to step back, try to be objective, try to look at it from the other parent's point of view. maybe they just don't have all the information and they made a knee-jerk reaction to the situation. Try to be understanding and compassionate like you would want a parent to be to you if your child were in the wrong on some situation. If we can do that, it will really help everyone. It helps the kids. It helps the leaders of the co-op to not have to deal with any drama that's unnecessary drama. It helps parents. My mother was a public school teacher and a principal, and she would be the first to tell you that a lot of her problems were parent problems more than kid problems. Kids are pretty good about moving on. Parents, not so much. Parents can really take things personally. I know I am a parent. I have had to fight this myself. So I know of which I speak, and I'm not saying it's easy, but it's definitely worth it to teach your kids that they're not the center of the universe. They need to be thoughtful of other people. I mean, there's many, many right ways to homeschool. There's no one right way to homeschool. So don't let them be that kind of person that has to be the star, has to be the center of the universe. And as a homeschooling parent, that's what we're doing. We're making our children our priority. But they need to know they're not the only priority in the world. Everyone should be treated with that kind of respect and understanding. So these are just some things that I've learned the hard way as I've been a homeschooling mom and gone to different events. I even wrote an article many years ago for Homeschool Enrichment Magazine about why I chose to step out of our co-op. The first one I was involved with, I left. I couldn't handle the demanding nature of the leaders. They wanted everyone to agree with them, and if they wanted that, then they should have only made their group for Church of Christ members, because the demands they were making were things that were specific to their religion, and that's fine. If you want to start a homeschool group that's for Baptists or for Catholics or whatever your religion is, that's great. But if you open it up to a broader range of Christianity, then you need to be understanding that not everybody is going to come down on issues exactly the way you do. So anyway, I have really enjoyed this most recent co-op experience. I'm really glad I took the plunge. I was very reluctant because of my past bad experience to start this one that we're in now, to get involved in it, but it's been worth it. We've definitely had a lot of bumps along the journey, and it hasn't been easy. I'm not perfect, my kids aren't perfect, and the leaders of the homeschool group are not perfect. But I think we all understand that none of us are perfect, and that's how we can make it work, is we have mercy on each other, we try to show kindness, and we try to forgive. So I hope this will help you as you think about co-ops, because there are a lot of good ones out there, and there are a lot of benefits to being involved in one. But it is something that you need to pray about, to weigh. If it's not a Christian co-op, then those tend to be a little more expensive, but then you don't have to be as involved usually in those situations, as the parent. So, you just got to find what works for you and your family. So I hope this helps. Give me a like, a comment, subscribe if you haven't. I would love to hear from you. I love meeting new people. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope your homeschooling journey is a happy one.